In today's video, we're going to create an item magnet scene that we can put on our player so that items are attracted to him as he walks around. And we will also modify it and update it so that we can use it with our boomerang to grab items in hard to reach places. Hi, my name is Michael, and welcome to my 2D action and adventure RPG tutorial series. We are learning how to build a top-down 2D game that features action, adventure, and light RPG mechanics all in Godot 4 using GDScript. Okay, for today's video, we don't need any special assets, but you can see that I've created a new level that I've called Playground, and it's just what the name implies, I guess. It's a place for me to play around and test some things. I've got a little goblin who's isolated on top of this hill, as well as some items on top of this little hill, and then a slope up here. And the goal is just to be able to test the new magnet, item magnet feature that we're going to build. Okay, so we're going to build a simple modular kind of scene that we can use for this item magnet. And to begin, let's go to our general nodes folder. And you could place this elsewhere if you want to, but this seemed like a good place to me. Go ahead and create a new folder in here, and we'll just call it item magnet. And this scene is going to be quite simple, actually. Let's go ahead and create the new scene. Item_magnet. And I'm going to change this root node. I want it to be an area 2D. And I'm going to, let's add one other thing right now. Let's add an audio stream player 2D. And we'll simply use that to play some sound effects conditionally later on. And I'm not going to add the collision shape to this item magnet scene because I don't want it to be built in. Instead, I want it to be something that we kind of add and instantiate on a per scene basis. So let's see, let's just do one more thing here. Let's create our script for our item magnet. Okay, let's put that on there. Go ahead and open that. Give it a class name. And they should extend an area 2D, right? Because that's what we're building off of. Go ahead and save that. Now I'm going to go to my player scene. There we go. And I want to actually just drag out or place one of these item magnet scenes here in the player. And then what we can do is add our collision shape 2D. I'm going to set it to a circle shape and pick a radius. I'm going to pick a large radius for now while we're testing. And then later we can fine tune this because depending on your game, this might be an ability. This might be something that they have that they start with. And obviously you know, they might want them to be able to suck items from like really far away or just right next to them. Okay. So this will be dynamic. And just by changing this collision shape, we can change the area over which they kind of attract those items. I'm just going to drag down this opacity so that it's not quite so bold and ugly. Okay, I'm going to save that. So we've got just our basic item magnet set up. And actually from here, I can just click the script for our item magnet and let's get started. What our item magnet needs to do is it needs to detect anytime an item comes within the area, we need to add it to a list and we need to draw it towards the center, right? And in fact, I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to take my item magnet and I'm going to drag the center up here because that's where it's going to be drawn to. So instead of items being sucked up and drawn to the feet, it'll draw it to the center of the player. And then if you wanted, you could offset the collision shape a little bit to account for that. So we're going to keep a list of all the items, which is going to be an array, specifically an array of item pickups. So this script is going to be designed to only work with this class, right? So it's only going to attract item pickup scenes. You could change that to anything you want. Some of this script will not be useful to other types, but most of it will be pretty general purpose if you want to change that. And I'm going to keep one other thing, and that's an array of floats that I'm going to call speeds. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want this script to control the movement of the items. I don't want to have to build that into each item's script. and they're all going to have individual speeds, right? They're going to speed up and draw to the player more quickly the longer they're within that area. So they're going to each need their own speed. Now let's export a couple variables that we can use. So first, I want one that we'll call magnet strength. And this will be a float. And I'm just going to set this equal to 1. And then let's see. Well, we'll leave this one off for now. We'll come back to this. So we got one export variable. And then lastly, let's just get our ready function set up. And the first thing we want to do that I think is obvious is we want to connect to the area entered signal on our area 2D. We'll just create a function called onAreaEnter. All right. And set that up. Now, one thing about this onAreaEntered is, or enter is it is going to pass us whatever area enters us, right? Now, this is one note here. If you're trying to detect bodies, then you're going to want to use onBody or body entered, right? But because we're using this item pickup, and let's go ahead and see if I can find one of these. Let's see, item dropper, item magnet. Oh, it's going to be down here under items. Item pickup. If we look at this item pickup scene, I'm actually going to be detecting this area here. Because I don't want my script to try and find anything that is on like layer 5 or something. So you could do whatever you want. You can make it or detect body collisions or area collisions. For this specific purpose here, though, I decided that it would be simplest to just look for that area. And so you'll see how we utilize that. So in this onAreaEnter, we're going to do a check, and we're going to check. We want to see if the item we have is of type item pickup. But there's a catch, because as I just showed this onAreaEntered, the item pickup, we're actually going to be only detecting if this area here enters, right? So let's go back. Let's go back to our ItemMagnet script. So instead of checking if the area that entered is an item, we need to check the parent. So we'll do if a.getParent is item pickup. Then we'll do something here. Otherwise, we're just going to ignore any item that comes in. And in fact, one thing we didn't do, let's go ahead and save this. Let's go to our ItemMagnet, go to our scene, and let's configure real quick our area 2D. And we're just going to turn off monitorable and then go to collisions. And we're not going to have it on a layer, but it'll just detect and look on the player layer, which is the same layer that item pickup area resides on. Okay, let's go back to our script. So then what will happen is anytime we have an item enter this area, we're going to store it real quick as a variable just to make it a little bit easier. So we're not doing a.getParent over and over. We'll do it one time here. Let's see, underscore a.getParent as item pickup. That as item pickup is important just so that we know what type it is in our script. And then, as you recall, we've got an items array and a speeds array. So we want to append this to our items array. So we'll go items.append. Put our new item there. And then we're going to do one other thing. And this will make sense as we work through it. We're going to append to our speeds a value of magnet strength. Okay. And then we'll just stop right there. We'll go ahead and save that. Okay, so the next step here is to kind of move these items. Like I mentioned, this script is going to be responsible for moving all of the items that are within it. So we'll create, or we'll utilize the process function to do so. What we're going to do here is we're going to say for I in items. Oop, did I not type I twice? For I in items, we're going to just iterate over that array and we're going to move them. So first we'll say variable item equals items I. And then we're going to just do a couple things here. We're going to actually evolve this script as we go, but I kind of want to start with the basics here. So we'll grab the speeds at that index, and we're going to increase it by the magnet strength times delta times 2. Actually, we don't need the times 2. That's silly. Let's just do times delta. And then we'll take our item that we got reference to, and we're going to go dot position, and we're just going to add to it. We're not going to use any fancy physics or anything like that. But what we want to do is we want to get the direction towards the center of this. So we're going to say get our global position and go direction to, and then in here we'll just type global position. That's just getting the global position of the item magnet itself. And then we'll multiply that by the speeds at the index that we're currently on. And if we run this, let's see, I'm going to have to test this, I got to go to my playground scene and hit F6. Okay, let's see. Error, which I knew that we were going to get some today because of the way I'm doing this. So let's go ahead and stop. Oh, shoot. I didn't want to stop everything. I want to run that again, get my error back. Okay, let's go back here, get an error. There we go. Invalid get index on base array item pickup. We did one thing wrong here. I want to check the size of the array and do it against that. I hope this one works now. Let's just run this one more time. Okay, yeah, it's working. You can see that one item started moving towards the player. Okay, but what happened there? So as soon as an item was, onto the player, he picked it up, and then suddenly we now have an issue because this, as you can see, we can't find the global position of this thing because it's been previously freed. Okay, which means it no longer exists, right? So what we'll do here is let's just have a check, and we'll say, let's see, if item is null, maybe. We're going to do something here eventually, but otherwise we'll just pass, and then we'll do we'll do an else, maybe. Okay. And let's just run this real quick, see if that fixes that last little error. I'm kind of going through this the hard way just so that we can demonstrate how to use the debugger, but there we go. You can just see it sucked up those 4 items. There's 4 of them there. Now, if we wanted to increase the strength of our item magnet, we can go to our player here and select the item magnet, and I'm going to set the strength to 2. And then if we go back to our playground and run the scene, let's go ahead and come up here. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. We can see that sucked up a little bit more quickly. I don't know if sucked up is the best term to be using, but whatever. We're going with it now. Okay, so we've got a basic working script, and it is attracting the items to the player, but we've got some issues in here. So one of the issues that we already encountered, right, is that as the player picks up the items, there's still a reference to them in the array. And so we want to be able to clean that up. Let's address that first. So the simple and obvious thing would be to just say like items remove at, so we'd take our items array and remove whatever is at the position of I. This may or may not cause a crash right now with it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it did. Okay. And the reason why it did is because we're removing the item as we're iterating through the array. So when we started this for loop, we said for the size of the array. And as soon as we remove this first item, suddenly the size of our array changes. So this is really bad. We don't ever want to do this in programming. If we want to be able to keep this for loop this way, we can still utilize this if we change it. So what I'm going to do is instead of iterating over the item size, I'm going to say for I in range, and we're going to do this. I'm going to get the item size -1. Okay. Because, the first item is at index 0. And then I'm going to go -1, -1. Now what this says is, let's look at range here real quick. So we can give it these 3 variables, right? Where it starts from B, increases by S, which is the 3rd variable, and stops before N, which is the middle variable, right? So in the case of our script, we're starting at the size of the array -1, because arrays start at 0. And then we're going to go and stop before we reach -1, which means we'll stop at 0. And we're going to increase, or in this case, decrease our count by 1 each time. So this way we're going through the array in reverse. And that means that if we remove an item from the array, it shouldn't affect any of the subsequent items because the array is not restacking them, right? So let's, and maybe I didn't explain that full enough, but let's just look at this real quick. Like if we have an array and it has 3 items, let's just go A, B, and C, right? If we are iterating, if we delete this first one, it's gone. Then it's probably going to be fine. It's going to skip this second one because the next time it loops through the array, we're going to be on index 1, which is going to check C. And then because we did for I in items.size previously, it's then going to look for a third item, and there isn't one. That's where our error was coming in to play. And there could be other errors because of this, the way that the array reforms. Okay, so because we're doing it this way in reverse, put my array back there. Oh, I don't want those, right? So we've got A, B, and C. So because we're starting at the back, if C doesn't exist, well, let's say C exists, but B's been picked up. It doesn't matter if we delete B because the next one is going to be A, and A is still there in its usual place, okay? So we'll just move through the array backwards like that. And then if I run my project, I hope this works, then I should be able to just go pick them up. No errors whatsoever, okay? Now there's a little bit more we want to do. We're removing the items at that index. We also should be removing the corresponding speed. If you recall, we've got speeds. So we'll remove the speed at that index as well so that we keep those matched up 1-to-1. And that'll be quite a bit cleaner. And that'll make sure that our array doesn't just get full of items that are all getting deleted. And yeah, that actually gives us kind of the basics of what we need, right? There's a little bit more cleanup that we're going to need to do here, but this is working pretty good. Now let's go to our playground. I want to run this, and I want to observe one other thing. We've got these items on this hill here, and you can see that, oh, hey, that one kind of finally got picked up because it finally started moving fast enough that it's going to jump the leap, maybe. I don't know. That's really funny. And you saw it was kind of wigging out there. We're going to fix both of these issues, but the first one being, would like it so that, you know, if the player can attract an item on the other side, or maybe it's even inside a wall, it'll just pull through to him. So we will simply do that. Let's see, let's go to our ItemMagnet script. So what we want is on our onAreaEnter function, we're going to just do this. Let's go to our, just make a new line here and do new item. Now this item, because of the way we're doing the physics here, let's see, we're doing all of our, we're controlling all of our movement in the physics process. Okay, we're detecting the collision and doing the bounce on our own, as opposed to using any other script. So what we can do is just disable the physics process. So if we say set physics process to false, like that, then when we run our game again, these items are now not going to have that script, and they just come right through. Okay, so one minor change to be able to make these items come through the wall. Pretty cool. So that's pretty straightforward. I mean, this is working pretty good for the most part, right? If we run our playground and, you know, walk around, this works pretty good. Don't have a lot of issues with it. It's pretty error-free at this point. And so, you know, you could call it good right here. I'm going to do one thing though. I'm going to go to our player scene, and I don't really want him to be able to attract items from that far away. I'm going to make it pretty small. Okay, you can choose how you want yours to work, obviously, right? I'm going to just set this to maybe 25 pixels. Seems good to me. And just save that. So it's only going to work when he's right next to him. But I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to go to my Boomerang scene and Shift Control A, or you could drag in one of these item magnets from the file system, but I'm just going to add an item magnet to the Boomerang. And let's go to the player. I'm going to copy that collision shape. That worked. Okay. For whatever reason, Control C and Control V wasn't working. I'm going to go ahead and recenter this item magnet. I'm going to plop this right on the center of the boomerang, and then I'm going to resize it. Maybe just about there. Okay. 15. So now we've got an item magnet on our boomerang. Well, let's go ahead and test this out. So if we run our playground scene here, should be able to throw the boomerang, and just like that, it works. There's an issue though. A couple issues. One is they should stick to the boomerang, I think. Okay. And then obviously that speed's a little bit off. So let's do one thing. We can change the speed with our item magnet. Oops. Go to our boomerang, select the item magnet. I'm going to set the strength to something high, like 5. Now when we run the scene, the item should kind of stick to the boomerang a little bit better, except they're jittery, which I knew was going to happen, right? So that's kind of an issue. They're jittery, and if the boomerang happens to be moving fast enough, then the items become unstuck. 2 separate issues here. So let's go back to our script real quick on our item magnet, and we're going to adjust this process here in the following way. So we're going to change this else to an elif, because we're going to check on a condition here. And what we want to check is if the item, if its global position is close enough, right? So we'll do distance 2, and then we'll just put our global position here. Global position of the magnet. So if the distance to that is greater than the speed, right? Meaning the item's not going to hit the center of the magnet, then we'll run this little bit of line of code. But if not, if this is false, then that means that the speed is greater than the distance to the center of it. Why am I getting an error here? What did I do? Oh, it's because I didn't put an S on speeds. Okay. So if that's true, if that's false, right, there's still one more condition here, meaning the item is really close to the center of the magnet, then we're going to just set the global position of the item equal to the global position of the magnet. So once it gets to the center, it's not going to escape. And that's going to fix both that jitter bug and the bug where the items kind of became unstuck from the magnet, if you consider that a bug, that is. Let's go ahead and run this. So now if I throw my boomerang at these, you'll see that once they get stuck to the center, they just keep traveling with the boomerang. And because I made that magnet's area so small in the boomerang, it really only works if the boomerang like hits an item, which is kind of what I wanted, but you can change that if you would like. So, okay, so now our magnet works pretty well with the boomerang. There's just really one other thing that I would like to do, and that's that we added, if we go back to our ItemMagnet scene, you can see we added this audio stream player. We haven't done anything with it. I'm going to get a reference to it here, and I'm going to rename it to audio. And I'm actually going to export a variable here. So I want to play a sound effect when the boomerang hits an item, but I don't want the magnet to make a sound effect when the player is walking over or near an item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export another variable, vart, and we'll call this, I don't know, play magnet sound or something like that, or audio maybe. This will be a Boolean. And by default, we will set it to false. Oh my gosh, plays, okay, false. And then what we'll do is we'll just come down here to our on area enter, and we'll just add an if statement. So if play magnet audio, then we'll just go audio dot play, and I'm going to put 0 in here so that it starts from the position, from the initial position of that audio sound effect. And then I want to come here to my audio stream player, and I want to add, there we go, I want to add an audio stream to it. So I'm going to do quick load, and I'm going to look for the catch. So if you've done the previous tutorials, you should have this sound effect. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now if we go to our boomerang scene and go to the item magnet, we'll say play magnet audio, set that to on. And let's see. Let's go ahead and move over to our playground, and let's test this out one more time. So now if I throw my boomerang at these, you should hear a little sound effect when it attaches to it. Go ahead. Try this one more time up here with some of these. A little bit of a sound effect there. Then when my player walks, no extra sound effect. So there we go. We've created a nice item magnet effect. Put it on our boomerang as well as on our player so that they both can kind of grab these items more easily. Made it so that the items can go through the walls. That item just got picked up instantly. And yeah, that's the video for today. So if you want to like or comment, it helps my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see what's coming next. And as always, we'll see you next time.